very differently over here. And I think really the two things are kind of swings and roundabouts. I mean, a lot of people take comfort in their religion. There's a great social aspect to it, but also I can't deny that, there's a lot of really horrible things done in the name of it. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm a crap guest.
Hey, either. That's the way that I would have to answer that too. I don't know which of those two options is the better one. They both have, equally, I think, footing in good and bad. So I'm with you on that. Okay, so let's leave Jilly for just a minute so that we can kind of go into some other weird beliefs that people may not have heard of. A couple of them I haven't. And Dave, let's start with the black. What is that word? Yeah, black salve
picture.
Yeah, and we're only going to leave these pictures up for a couple seconds, guys, just so you can kind of see the effects that they have. But I think that's enough of the nose guy on that. So that doesn't look fun, Myles. What's going on with that?
Okay, so black salve is a escharotic paste, which if you put on living flesh, it burns it, makes massive holes into it. And it does this because it's a mixture of bloodroot extract, which is a plant, and zinc chloride, which you can get all natural zinc chloride, apparently. And there are certain parts online where this is being promoted as a cancer cure. The idea is you put it on you, and if you have cancer, it will burn you. And if you don't have cancer, you should be fine. The thing is, it will burn whatever it comes into contact with. So the people who are convinced enough to put this on their flesh, when it does burn them, they're like, oh, I did have cancer and I was able to cure it. It's truly awful. People have died as a result of this, and a lot more have been left disfigured. And we're not talking about like, a little bit of a scar. We're talking like that, you saw that picture, that guy had a little bit of a nose off. But I've seen photos where people have, their entire nose is gone. Their entire face is gone. Their flesh
that was the
just
tamest picture that I could find of the effects. That was the tamest picture on Google that I could find of the effects of that. The other ones that are on there, I don't think we would be able to show. I mean, it's just
no, they're terrifying. It's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah. But Myles, why?
It's again.
Why is? How do you get to the point, and what is pushing people to be willing to see these pictures? Hopefully, they do research it. Hopefully, they go online and they see that this is an effect. Yet they still put this stuff on their bodies.
Why do people do it? All these things tend to have certain. They're similar. They have so for example, even with jelly juice, for example, they're all hurt people. Like they can feel the pain, and there's this kind of feeling that people have that if they hurt something, it's proof that something is working and that it's benefiting them. Maybe it came from when you were a kid, you took paracetamols and you hated the taste, but that feeling of it's hurting me, therefore it's good for me. People respond to that, and that's the same as within black salve. There's also for some reason people love stuff that's all natural. So Jilly promotes her stuff as an all natural cure. Black salve has the bloodroot extract, and the natural zinc chloride. So that's all natural. And I also think people, there's a lot of distrust in, sometimes quite rightly, in large pharmaceutical companies, and especially, I don't mean to slag you guys off over the pond where you don't have like an NHS. So there's a monetary value to your treatment, where over here in the UK, yes, there still is a monetary value, but we don't see that. And I think people also like to feel that they are somehow in control of their own fate. So them doing this is them taking charge, and they're going to show the cancer what for. But those are very broad reasons why I think people do it. I think it really comes down to the individual person, and they will have very specific reasons for why they're willing to put stuff on their flesh that will burn them, for example.
How do they choose the spot to put it on? Like, let's say that they believe that they have cancer. Yeah. Where are they, because it seems to be with the pictures that I saw, it's either targeted around the if it's a woman, the breasts, or the cheek, or the nose. Those seems to be the three major places that this gets put. So
it usually comes from bumps or scars or anything they tend to have. I mean, I'm sure if you feel around your own body, you're going to find the odd bump here and there. And what these people tend to do is they tend to take a picture and they'll upload it to a Facebook group, for example. These things are very popular. They're usually hidden behind like group walls. And they'll say, hey, I've got this bump. It's on my elbow. Is it cancerous? What should I do? And you'll see people be like, oh, well, maybe you should try black salve because remember, it'll only burn if it is cancerous. And not only that, it will draw out the cancer from beneath the skin, which is what they actually believe. So these people, they come around to the idea that this is a good idea and it's perfectly safe because, hey, if I don't have cancer, not going to hurt me. So they put it on. Lo and behold, part of their flesh dies and falls off. Oh, I had cancer. That was really lucky that I caught it using this stuff, and it fell off. I'm now cured. Yeah.
Oh,
bizarre,
man.
By the way, what's the difference between natural zinc oxide and non-natural zinc oxide? Just kind of curious what the distinction would be.
It's just it means natural means nothing really. As someone who's worked, don't know how much I can go into detail here. I've worked in an industry where we can skate around the legislation to make stuff that I wouldn't consider to be natural, but technically is natural. I mean, we can do all sorts. For example, we can make a GMO that can produce certain compounds, but we can't sell those compounds if they come from a cell that's intact. If we lyse the cell, extract the proteins, and then do it in a petri dish, then we can sell it as natural. Natural means nothing anymore.
Wow, that's crazy to think about. That is wild to think about. So my thought with where they choose to put this was maybe this was where they thought the cancer was, so like with the women they were putting on their breast, the skin cancer with the nose. My biggest fear would be the people who thought that they had something like prostate cancer, because if they started to put the
well, here's the idea though. They wouldn't have to do that. They wouldn't have. Well, there are people who use it internally, so they'll put it in a little gel cap, and they'll eat it or. Yeah, anyway, there are people who do that. But the thing with black salve, the idea is that you just have to put it anywhere on your body and it will pull out the cancer. So if you have prostate cancer, you just put it on your thigh and it will pull out the cancer from your prostate.
How does that even make sense to them, though? I mean, I get the concept. I get the concept. Like, you said it was escharotic, and you said that you put it on and it kind of causes your skin to die, necrosis, and slough off, right? So that's the kind of the mindset. Okay, so if I got a wart, right, you put something on it, and like a compound W, and it causes something similar, and it does eventually get burned away, and you can do little slicings of it to cut off warts and stuff. So I get the concept, but where do they get this idea that it somehow, one, doesn't affect normal skin, and two, that it draws out cancer? I don't know how they could ever make that mental connection there.
Yeah, where did this stem from?
It's a high type of alkaloid, right? I mean, it's going to cause necrosis of some kind.
I don't know the origin of it, but I guess it comes down to it. It's really, really simple. I mean, I could explain that to a child and say, "Oh, I'll put this stuff on you," and all the badness, it pulls it out, and that's good. That's a simple thing to understand. So I guess people just run with it.
Yeah, they're probably so desperate that desperation does a lot to a mind, I think. And unless you're in that situation, it's hard to think that, like right now sitting here, it's hard for us to imagine doing some of these things. But if we were in that situation,
the thing is with black salve is that it's not always people who are desperate. In fact, the vast majority of them, I personally think, haven't got anything wrong with them. They just kind of do it because they've been not tricked into it, but convinced into it.
Wow. The black salve challenge. They want to, or they want, they want to.
Oh God, please don't do that.
These are essentially Tide Pods, okay?
Yeah, I can we strike that from the record, please, Dave? Strike that from the from the live stream. Okay, so are there any other key points that you think we should hit on black salve before we move on to the next one?
Well, like I want to, maybe I should bring attention to the fact, like most of these quackeries, again, it does have origins of truth. Of this was originally used in medicine to kill off skin cancers. And but this was like way back in the 50s and 40s. There is that kind of origin of it, and people have just ran with it. My warning to people who would believe in it or know anyone who would is just Google images of it, and Google, I think it was Ruth something or other, a woman who died of it. I mean, her story is terrible. She had a slight bump on her nose, and her woo doctor told her that it was cancerous and to put this black salve on it, and she did, and she went all red and awful. And her doctor said, "Oh, that's fine because you look like it looks like a crab because you've got this redness on you, and that the sign of the zodiac crab is cancer. So that's proof that it's working. Put more on." And then her nose fell off, and then I believe she died. Yeah.
God, man. Well, it does have actual uses. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zinc chloride is the active ingredient in a sunscreen, isn't it? So in minor amounts, it has some utility. Right? Isn't it
I'm not
isn't
sure
that the active ingredient? Yeah, I think it's the active ingredient for some sunscreen. It's in very, very low concentration.
Like loads of compounds.
Oh, it's zinc oxide. You're right. Okay, zinc oxide, not zinc chloride. What's the difference?
Well,
chemistry.
Well, one will burn your skin, and one keeps your skin from getting burnt.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was thinking, I'm thinking one of them was in sunscreen. Okay. This is why I don't do chemistry, guys.
Myles, I thought we cut you off there. You were getting ready to say something before we went to the sunscreen.
No, sorry about that. No, just the lag. Obviously, I'm a few seconds behind you, so no, I'm fine.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, Dave, let's go to another one that I'm not certain about is the ozone one. So I want to make sure that we get that one in. So Dave, let's go to ozone therapy.
Yeah.
And apparently, this is one of these sessions. I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe Myles can kind of
so
go in detail on that.
Okay, so there's the woman behind them with what looks like a syringe. So I'm guessing she's osifying the blood and then going to inject it back into the person they took it from.
Okay. So, by the way, Dave, there's a TV or something going in the background. I think there we go. Okay, perfect. So what exactly is ozone therapy, and why do people feel that it's something that can be beneficial to their health?
Oh, so ozone therapy, ozone O3, like black salve, it has an origin of something useful. Ozone can kill all sorts. It can kill all kinds of pathogens externally. It's used in operating rooms. It's used in sterile rooms, and people somehow believe that, therefore, that will translate to you using it internally, and you'll be fine. So the idea is that you can expose yourself to ozone through either breathing it or mixing it in with your blood and then re-injecting it into yourself, and that will somehow cure you of everything. The reality is, ozone is not a nice compound. There are people out there who believe because there's an extra oxygen there, it's like 5 times better than regular O2. No, ozone is pretty nasty. What I love about this kind of stuff as well, it's all chemistry related. So ozone, there's a process called ozonolysis, which basically ozone can break carbon-carbon double bonds. So if you're exposed to it, it can, there's a lot of you that's made up of these carbon-carbon double bonds, and it will damage you. And also, even what people who say breathe it in, you're going to have some serious lung problems. It's going to mess you up. It's not going to cure anything. It won't even reach anything worth curing because it will react with whatever it comes into contact with, like black salve. For the people who say that, you can put it in blood and then re-inject it into you, it will not survive hardly any time in blood whatsoever. So I honestly don't even see the point of that. The people who say you can bubble it through oil, no, it'll just react with the oil and then also won't exist after a fair few minutes. It's another one of these panaceas that apparently cures everything. Because again, people can physically sense it. You can smell ozone. You get that kind of taste. It feels kind of clinical. And so that feeds into people believing that it's somehow helpful for you. No, this gas is toxic. And the people who want to inject it into you are nuts.
So that was my next question. Where does this happen at? Because if you're going the route where they're going to inject it in your blood or mix it with your blood and re-inject